learning about these verses and presenting on these verses. And so I always feel like I get more than I give. So I thank all of you and for your presence here for, this community. Okay, good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see all these smiling faces. This is the most wonderful thing we can do in the morning, is connect with our best friend, Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, just a couple of adjustments here and get started. Okay. Okay, so we're continuing today after yesterday's beautiful class given by Jai, Nitai, and Bhavabhakti. Continuing with several verses today. So let's begin because there's a lot to discuss. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we can see the verses here, and we'll read through them. For the sake of time, I'll read through the translation, and then there's a couple of that have some purports. And before we begin, I'd just like to seek the blessings of all of my teachers and all of the people that I've learned something from. And please excuse any mistakes, any offenses. And may I say something that can enliven us and help us, especially today, as we're the day before the most sacred month of Kartik. This is a very, very exciting time. So I'm looking forward to this and to the coming month. Okay, so we're continuing with verses 19 through 24. What's been happening is that we're at the Rajasuya sacrifice, and everyone's trying to decide who's going to receive the first honor as the highest person at the sacrifice. And so we're kind of at a point where it's, everyone's on the edge of their seats, what's going to happen. And so at this point, Sahadev is going to speak up. And so we'll begin with text 19. Translation. Sahadev said, "Certainly it is Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the chief of the Yadavas, who deserves the highest position. In truth, he himself comprises all the demigods worshipped in sacrifice, along with such aspects of the worship as the sacred place, the time, and the paraphernalia." Text 20. This entire universe is founded upon him, as are the great sacrificial performances with their sacred fires, oblations, and mantras. Sankhya and yoga both aim toward him, the one without a second. O assembly members, that unborn Lord, relying solely on himself, creates, maintains, and destroys this cosmos by his personal energies, and thus the existence of this universe depends on him alone. He creates the many activities of this world, and thus by his grace, the whole world endeavors for the ideals of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Therefore, we should be honoring, Therefore, we should give the highest honor to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. If we do so, we will be honoring all living beings and also our own selves. And text 24. Anyone who wishes the honor he gives to be reciprocated infinitely should honor Krishna, the perfectly peaceful and perfectly complete soul of all beings, the Supreme Lord who views nothing as separate from himself. And the purport. So this purport is actually by Srila Prabhupada. I didn't double check, but I believe it's from the Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada writes as follows, Sahadev said, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is superfluous to speak about Krishna because every one of you exalted personalities knows the Supreme Brahman, Lord Krishna, for whom there are no material differences between body and soul, between energy and the energetic, or between one part of the body or another. Since everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, there is no qualitative difference between Krishna and all living entities. Everything is an emanation of Krishna's energies, the material and spiritual. Krishna's energies are like the heat and light of the fire. There is no difference between the qualities of heat and light and the fire itself. He should therefore be offered the first worship of this great sacrifice, and no one should disagree. Krishna is present as the super soul in every living being. And if we can satisfy him, then automatically every living being becomes satisfied." Okay, that was Sahadev standing up for what he knows to be true in that moment. Okay, I was just wondering if I skipped anything. Okay. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is my absolute favorite pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam because it highlights this point that everyone, no matter who they are, is a part of Krishna. And in the case of what's going to happen immediately after this statement by Sahadev is going to show that. So no matter how foolish or mistaken one is, if Krishna is the object of their meditation, based on the knowledge that Sahadev is providing, then Krishna is attained. And so obviously we're going to see, I'm not going to get into that, but we're going to see that envy and jealousy are not the ideal way to meditate on someone, which was most likely the state of mind of the person who's going to have something else to say. But still, it doesn't disqualify them from returning to Krishna. And in the ultimate sense, no one is rejected. And so the first thing that stands out in this text is in the Sanskrit, Sahadev uses the name Achyuta when referring to Krishna. And we know that Krishna has many names, and of all of them, Achyuta is used here. And so we're assuming that, I think rightly assuming that Sahadev is not speaking randomly, but in fact, he's speaking quite purposefully. And so Achyuta, translated to the English, means infallible. In the Sanskrit, it's translated as firm, fixed, solid, not giving way, imperishable, and permanent. And the word infallible in English means unerring, like this, to err is human, that kind of erring. Incapable of making a mistake or being wrong, not likely to fail. And it comes from the Latin fallare, to deceive. In Spanish, fallar is to fail. Like when we use the phrase, do my eyes deceive me? We're saying, are they showing me something false? So in that sense, they're failing us, or they could be, and they can't be trusted. And so this is pointing to what Sahadev is trying to get across when he's using this name. So when something's infallible or firm and fixed and solid, that doesn't give way. We can take the analogy of an earthquake. When we're standing on the earth, there's a general sense of stability, safety, in the solidity of the earth beneath us. And when that starts to move, if anyone's ever been in an earthquake, when the earth, the most solid thing that we know, starts to move underneath you, that sense of security is compromised. And if we've never been in an earthquake physically, we can have a similar psychological experience where it seems that our world is shattered and crumbling. You know, we're often reminded that our situations, our conditions are precarious at best, in the sense that they lack stability and uncertainty, in the sense that nothing is permanent. At any moment, we've all experienced this in one way or another, or will experience it, that at any moment things can change, and they can change very quickly, and they can change very drastically. So I think many of us can relate to this. So who or what in this world can be said to be infallible? If there's nothing that's constant or permanent or without some intrinsic flaw, is there anything that is really completely and eternally infallible in this world? It's something that won't fail us. And we can try to think very hard on this, but there's really nothing. And that's the point that's being made here by referring to Krishna by his other name. Another one of his names is Achyuta, infallible. And in addition to this, or by naming him in this way, Sahadev is nominating Krishna. And to nominate someone literally means to propose them for an honor. When you nominate someone, you're stating, just by the fact that you're naming them for this honor, it means that it implies that the qualities that qualify them for such honor are already there. And so with one word, when he says Achyuta, he's saying, look, here's the person that deserves this. Arhati, that's the word that's being used in Sanskrit. He has the qualities that make him worthy. And so what else is he saying? He's saying that Krishna, Sahadev is stating that Krishna comprises all the demigods and all the aspects that comprise the sacrifice itself. And this is an important and profound point. We're going to see why. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states different places that he is the very component, or that he's every component of the sacrifice and the recipient of all sacrifices. And so logically, it makes sense to make an offering directly to the person whom we want to make the offering to. So it's sort of, you go directly to, if you want to give a gift to someone, ideally you're giving it to them directly. And so this is what's being described here in this way. So in the Bhagavad Gita and text 9:16, Krishna says, but it is I who am the ritual, the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. And there's no part of a sacrifice that isn't Krishna, and he's the recipient of all of them. And in another place, he says, even when you if someone were to make an offering to the demigods, it's sort of the middleman there, he's still the one that's receiving. And so that's the point of going directly to the source, because there's no getting away from it. It's all Krishna. And so even the things that are used for the sacrifices. And so this is what Sahadev is trying to get across. And let's see, in the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well wishes of all living beings, attains peace from the pangs of material misery. So he's saying again, everything is me. So this is what he's trying to get across to Arjuna. And then in the 10th chapter, he says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So again, everything, the things that comprise the sacrifice itself, the place, the fire, the ghee, the plants that are used, everything. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. And so continuing on, let's see here, to verses 20 and 21, this is still Sahadev speaking. This entire universe is founded upon him, as are the great sacrificial performances, the fires, oblations, and mantras. So this knowledge is just being, this understanding, this truth is just being reiterated. So the word that's used here is, we have Sanskrit here, atmakam. And atmakam means comprised of. So the things that make something up. So because all of existence is made up of him, everything depends on him. And in this way, he is the foundation of everything. And there's nothing outside of him. There's nothing that doesn't depend on Krishna for its very existence. So again, returning to the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all of these constitute my separated material energies. Actually, he says all together, so comprised, are his separated energies. And then he says, then those are the material energies. Then he talks about the spiritual energies that are also his. And then he continues saying all created beings have their source in these two natures. So it's either material or it's spiritual. And all of that is material. All of that is material and all of that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So what Sahadev is speaking is not hearsay. It's actually truth. When something's hearsay, it's just you can't trust the source or you can't trust what they're saying. But he's actually repeating the words of Krishna himself. And then later, he in the same chapter 7, he says, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. And so we're back to this idea of a foundation. So everything, and then we're continuing with 23 and 24. He creates many activities in this world. And thus, by his grace, the whole world endeavors for the ideals of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Or that was 22, sorry. Therefore, we should give the highest honor to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. If we do so, we will be honoring all living beings and also our own selves. Anyone who wishes the honor he gives to be reciprocated infinitely should honor Krishna, the perfectly peaceful and perfectly complete soul of all beings, the Supreme Lord who views nothing as separate from himself. So everything that we want can be found within him because there's nothing that's outside of him. And so back to that what was spoken yesterday in the class, we heard about humility and respect. And the question was, who here doesn't want respect? And we know what the ideal is. A sage is someone who's not even bothered with whether they get respect or don't get respect. They just know how to give it. But if we want respect, and that's just where we are, it's better to be honest instead of pretending that we don't want respect. And then when we don't get it, we go off and stew somewhere and, just get upset about it. But this is giving us a solution. It's okay to be where we are. And it's telling us what we can do. It also, this solution is going to bring us to the goal that if we give it to Krishna first, it will be reciprocated infinitely. It's not just it will be reciprocated or you'll get a little bit of the respect and honor that you give. You will get it back infinitely. And that's not a small thing, I think, when someone says something is going to be done infinitely. So when we honor Krishna, we honor everything, including ourselves. Infinitely reciprocated. We hear this watering the roots of the tree. And as it's stated in the purport, we can't separate Krishna from his energies, and that includes us. And so if we honor Krishna, if we honor the acharyas, if we honor the devotees, then we are receiving that honor. However, it must be genuine, and it has to go through the proper channels, remembering that Krishna's the ultimate recipient of all sacrifices, of all honors. And sometimes it's even difficult to respect and honor ourselves. But if we offered that honor and respect on the basis that I am part and parcel of Krishna, not on the basis of I'm so special I deserve to be honored, if we did it knowing that it's all Krishna, then we would be honoring him too, and we wouldn't mistreat ourselves. And in that sense, we wouldn't mistreat others either, because we would rightly understand. We would know that everything that I am is because of him. In that sense, honoring myself, I wouldn't be honoring myself as, the tiny speck of energy that, or a person that I am in relation to the whole, but I would be honoring Krishna as the very foundation of my existence. And so to honor the source of if we honor the source of creation, everything will be okay. And, we have this phrase, give respect where respect is due, and everything is okay. And the Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this. In the fourth canto, text 31, no, sorry, chapter 31, text 14, it's said, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, the branches, the twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. In the eighth canto, it says, eighth canto, chapter 5, text 49, when one pours water on the root of the tree, the trunk and the branches of the tree are automatically pleased. And similarly, when one becomes a devotee of Lord Vishnu, everyone is served, for the Lord is the super soul of everyone. And so how can we apply this? What is our prayer? What is my prayer? What do I want to remember when it feels like things are falling apart, when it feels like the whole world is shaky and I have no stability? What is it that we need to remember so that we can get to that place where we're unshakable, where there is no fear, or we know exactly what to do? And Kartik's a wonderful time to meditate on these things. We can take the opportunity to meditate on, how do I respond? How do I respond? Do I remember Krishna? Is that the first thing that I reach out for? And when we have those kinds of goals that are related to our relationship with Krishna, those are the things that will last. And when we come to the actual understanding, the knowledge, when we remember, we won't forget again. And so we can have, material goals, we can have goals around the things that we do and this and that, but all of that, it's not going to last. It's only for this moment, this one lifetime. And then may have to start all over again at another time, but not with these kinds of goals that are about our relationship with Krishna and our response. Because so when we talk about learning, when we truly learn something, then there's change. We can know something intellectually, but if there's no change because of what we understand or what we think we've learned, then it's not really learning. But in this case, if we remember something, if we truly know it, and that's what it is, to truly know, is to remember. Prabhupada says, I've just come here to remind you of what you've forgotten. And those things we don't forget. And so what can be our prayer? Dear Krishna, everything has just become very unstable. Things are not turning out as I want them to turn out. I feel unsteady. I feel confused, insecure. I'm afraid. Please remind me of what is real, what is true. Show me that place where I can rest and find that true stability and protection. We can't see Krishna with our material eyes, but we can use our intelligence and remember this. We use our, Krishna says, I give the intelligence, I give the understanding by which they can come to me, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. right? If you love someone, naturally you honor and respect them. You offer them, you offer and sacrifice. I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And so we use our minds to reach out to him, like just like in that earthquake. Or, it doesn't even have to be an earthquake. You can be doing some exercise and that feeling of, oh, I'm going to fall over. And your first instinct is to throw out your hands and you reach for something to support yourself with, to stabilize us. And similarly, when things get shaky in life, we maybe there's no physical thing to reach out for, because we've said that everything's fallible in this world, but we use our minds to reach out for that which will support us and stabilize us. And so the mind immediately that can become a habit to just reach out to the one thing that we know is stable. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that Krishna consciousness is simple. He doesn't just say it's simple. He says actually it's very simple. But then he validates our experience by saying it's not easy. And so that's why we practice. That's why we listen to Bhagavatam. That's why we talk to each other and, take support and guidance from the Vaishnavas, so that simple thing, that it becomes easy and it becomes second nature. And then one day when that disturbing thing happens and, literally rocks your world, we'll know instinctively who to reach out for. We'll remember that it's Krishna. That's the only thing that won't fail us, that he's Achyuta, he's infallible. Even when people have the greatest intentions for supporting us, we're people, we're limited. They may not be there one day, maybe they're somewhere else, or, things change. The world changes and it's changing very fast. But the one thing that doesn't change is that Achyuta, or Krishna, is the foundation of everything. And that foundation is solid, is as stable as anything, and it will not change ever, no matter where we are. And so everything is okay. Just remember if we just can remember to reach out and seek out the most stable thing, everything will be okay. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here and we'll have a conversation. Any comments? We have a hand raised. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, that was very nice. Very shastric. I was thinking about the analogy of the earthquake, and if we grab onto anything other than Krishna, we're actually grabbing onto illusion, because it's everything, like you said. So it's like, if we think that there's any other thing that we have to do besides surrendering and serving Krishna, then we are in illusion. We think of my family is what I need to tend to now, and then Krishna later. This is all an illusion. So it seems to me that, it's like that analogy of watering the root of the tree. When you water the root, all the other branches and leaves and roots, branches and leaves and flowers are already taken care of. So Krishna is the only one we have to focus on. And everything else is illusion, is it not?
Yeah, I love that vision. We're reaching out for something that's not even really there, in a sense. Yeah. Forget the fact that it's unstable and it changes. It is an illusion in the ultimate sense. Thank you. That's a wonderful point.
Also,
thank you very much.
If we try to depend on our family members, our society, or anything else, it's like trying to cross the ocean by hanging on to the tail of a dog. It can never happen. We can't the ocean that way. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And we see the world that tries to hang on, people in the world that don't understand that Krishna is the one stable thing. It's always that if this happens, the world will be okay. If it's this political party, if it's that political party, if the economy, all of these things, that's not going to bring us the true stability that we're ultimately looking for. I appreciate those points. Thank you. Let's see who else. Ishwari Sundari, Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. This is a wonderful class. So clear and to the point. And, I appreciate that. My reflection was on something. Be a little open here. I've suffered from anxiety, I think since the day I remember I was alive. And I think that's because since I was a little girl, a lot of responsibilities were placed on me that maybe shouldn't have been put on any one human being so young. And then later in life, it's just my karma, I guess, to have heavy responsibilities and to take care of very complex situations. So anxiety sets in because it comes out of fear of not being able to solve the issue and possibly losing control, right? Like I'm going to lose control of my family, my health, my house, everything. So it's been an issue. But since I've been on this path, that I remember in this lifetime, right? I just want to be correct in how I say things. Somebody said to me, and I can't remember who it was, that said, anxiety is fear, and fear is not trusting in Krishna. And that just hit me like, wow, that is so true. Like I'm doubting him that he has my back in the good and the bad. And so, and my anxiety hits at nighttime because that's when you have nothing to do except, darkness and clear mind. And ever since I've been putting that and having a conversation with Krishna and apologizing to him and say, I'm sorry. I know you're there for me. And I'm not going to be anxious and I'm not going to be in fear because I know you have my back. It took some time, but it has helped me so much. I mean, I could literally stay up for hours, and now it's like I just have that little conversation with Krishna, and I remember him as that constant in my life. And the anxiety, it's almost like taking an anti-anxiety pill. It's the Krishna conscious pill. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's remembering that he's there for us all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I think a lot of us can relate to that anxiety in different degrees. And it is a world of anxiety. It's not that something's wrong with me or something's wrong with you because we have anxiety. If we're actually clear-headed, it can be very scary. It's a scary world, and it is anxiety inducing, and that's the nature of this world. Thank you for sharing that experience. Yeah, I think it often helps us to remember that, oh, I'm not the only one that's, anxious all the time. Oh, what's going on in the world? But that we remind each other to, that there's something that's not, that we can turn to in that anxiety. And there is a book that I think puts it beautifully. It's based on Christian teachings, and it says, it starts off saying, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what you said really reminded me that, so I thank you. Yeah, great. Nice to hear from you. Okay, Adi Purusha Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Beautiful class. There's a story. I'll try to tell this very quickly. Krishna is so amazing. There's nothing but Krishna. No matter what people see, it's Krishna, whether they know it's Krishna or not. We were doing Harinam in Philadelphia, and we stopped at one street corner, and there was a man there, very nicely dressed with a three-piece suit and a tie. And he was like, and I said, Hare Krishna. He went, subverbal, not even like his saliva was spitting out of his mouth. And he was with this very nice girl. And I said, okay, Hare Krishna. And then we went down the block, and he was stuck behind us because there were 4 or 5 people in our non party. So one of the devotees said, your friend is still with us. But then he grabbed my kurta, grabbed it. I couldn't go. Everybody else was going. I said, sir, how can I help you? He goes, I'm an atheist. Like that. Like just, so And he said, so what are you going to say to me? It says we shouldn't preach to the faithless, go on preaching the intimate glories of the holy name to a faithless person. I was thinking, I'm not going to say anything to this guy. He doesn't want to hear anything, you know. But I was praying to Krishna, what should I say? And he said, what? Tell me I'm stupid. Tell me I'm going to hell. Tell me I'm ignorant. Tell me I'm, you know, don't know what I'm doing, that, you know, that you're good and I'm bad. And I was like, gosh, he's got the whole philosophy. But so I prayed to Krishna. So Krishna gave me a little insight. So I said, sir, can I ask you a question? Oh, and since I was inquiring submissively, he was like very attentive to the conversation. He slowed down a little bit and he said, yeah, ask me anything you want. I said, well, in your experience, for your understanding, what is the highest level of consciousness? What would that look like? Then he grabbed his thumb like this and he started making believe he was shooting a machine gun and he was talking about Rambo. And I was thinking, oh my God. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, Krishna, help, please. What is he talking about? So Krishna gave me another little insight. I said, I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying the highest consciousness, Rambo had this consciousness that if death came, he would accept it. That he would deal with, because he was accepting death as the absolute truth. That's it. I said, well, it says that in Bhagavad Gita, Mritya Sarva Rasa. What? You agree with me? I said, well, scripture agrees with you. Yeah. You know, it says for the atheist, Krishna says, I am death. So I said, what you're talking about is an aspect of the absolute truth. Aspect. I said, you know, like a diamond, one facet looks green, one looks golden, one looks bluish, one looks yellow, one looks silver, white. You know, there are different aspects of the absolute truth. And you're talking about a genuine aspect. He goes, so there are other aspects? I said, yes, we have heard about many aspects of the absolute truth. And you have an aspect? I said, yeah, we have our aspect. He said, what's that? I said, well, you have your aspect. We have our aspect. I've got to go. My friends are all the way down the block, you know? He goes, no, tell me about this other aspect. I said, okay, right across the street on the second floor, we have a little preaching center. Come over there, I'll give you a book. So he came over, he sat down, he and his girlfriend, they took the prasadam. They gave a $20 donation. They gave me a big hug. And I said, yeah, there's a lot of aspects of the absolute truth. And death is an aspect of the absolute truth. It's also a personal aspect that we appreciate. And it was kind of interesting that Krishna is appearing to everyone, even to the person who's completely atheistic and, you know, against the concept of the Supreme Lord, because there's nothing but Krishna. So we're just saying how wonderful is Krishna, that he's, everybody's inspired by some aspect of Krishna. Anyway, I don't know if that's contribution to this class or not, but that's what I prayed to Prabhupada what to say. Prabhupada.
Oh, Jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's wonderful. The different aspects. There's no escaping him, no matter how much we try, even if someone's adamant that there is no such thing as, you know, so this higher energy, this higher truth. It's said even for atheists, Krishna is the one that gives them the ability to come up with those arguments and, you know, using the intelligence in that way. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions, concerns, worries, corrections, ideas, admonitions?
Krishna Kumari.
Kumari. Oh, hey, Krishna Kumari, nice to see you again. Oh, you're muted, Prabhu.
Hi, Krishna. Can you hear me today?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I just I really like what you shared, and I do really think, you know, Adi's way of being, and you know, for all of us, we don't even need to be on Harinam. If our intention is to share Krishna, it can happen anywhere. It can happen in the grocery store. And I also really was just reflecting on, how we represent Krishna and how we serve Krishna in any situation, even in the realm of the greater states of what's going on in the world. Us having faith that Krishna is taking care of us, even if it looks like a disaster politically or elsewise or otherwise. I think that that faith actually does shift and can also direct the state of affairs. So like, even though we're so minute and we have no control, by us participating in conscious connection with Krishna and with other people we meet, we really do change the direction. One of my favorite quotes from Urvinda Swarup Prabhu is that the golden age, it's happening. Lord Chaitanya is here. The golden age is happening, and you get to choose if you want to be a part of it or not. It's going to happen, and Krishna has already said it's going to happen. So we could just make the choice to be a part of that rise of consciousness right now that's happening. Right, Krishna?
Wow, thank you. That's very hope-giving, Krishna Kumari. Yeah, thank you. And you know what the things that have been shared just reminded me that we can turn all of these things, sort of flip the paradigm upside down and take because of what Adipurusha was sharing and Ishwari Sundari about fear and about the aspects that there is no escaping, his energies. But it's what we want to see. And in that sense, what we want to look at. And in that sense, fear and anxiety actually provides us the perfect opportunity to reach out and seek something higher. Because it's true that ignorance is bliss. And yes, we can be blissful if we're just completely unaware and, and imagine having no anxiety, no fear. Okay, that would feel wonderful. But would we really reach out for Krishna? And so if we can start to, never waste a good suffering was something I learned from a dear Vaishnava. And, we can just start to see it that way. Oh, thank you very much. Because even in that sense, if we're just said that nothing is outside of Krishna, even that energy, it's coming from somewhere. And it may be just trying to help us. Like, okay, dear Krishna, here's that fear again. I know that's not real. You're real. What is it trying to show me? What opportunity can I take here to seek something that is real? And so it can actually be a helper, a friend, reminding us of something. Would we rather be blissful or would we rather be ignorant? That's a choice we can make. So yeah, thank you very much. Okay, I think we're ready to see our divine lords. And unless there's any other comments, questions, thank you very much. I very much appreciate this Sangha and all the wonderful things that you remind me of. Yeah, because you're all connected to Krishna, you are my foundation as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Lila Devidas. And Brahma Prabhu Ki Jai. Say that.
Jai.
So cameras on, please, if you can. Darshan time.
Shri Shri Radha Murida Gautam Bhagwan ki. Samari Bhushan Kama. Shri Shri Radha Murida Gaura Chandana Sima Bhagavan ki. Shri
Hare Krishna. Lila Devidasi, thank you
Hi.
very much for your class again. It was a
Thank you very
wonderful
much.
anti-anxiety pill.
Thank you. I
But-
just want to make one correction to something I said at the end about having to choose between ignorance and bliss. And with Krishna consciousness, we can both be knowledgeable and blissful. So we don't have to choose one over the other. And that's a very important distinction.
Yeah, choose Krishna and everything will line up properly.
Everything is okay. Everything is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Lila Devidasi. Okay, anybody wants to say anything? It's an open mic. Wednesday morning open mic. Yeah, when
Yeah.
anxiety, who's that?
Oh, it's me, Narottam.
No, tell me that. Go ahead.
That's yeah. So yeah, I wanted to say it's really I like what you said about being able to, like with the change, the thing, how things change over time or during circumstances in our lives, that it's important to just to always remember Krishna through it all, because a lot of we might not understand it, but like a lot of times things are temporary, and then the more we hold on to Krishna, the more closer to Krishna we become, especially during those times. So I just wanted to appreciate that what you said. That was really good, because I've gone through difficult times too, but personally, but when you can hold on to Krishna, like it makes everything that much more sweeter. Yeah, because then you don't remember the difficult times, you just remember Krishna. So, Gauranga.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It's like a muscle too. Then it's just instinctive. Something happens. Oh, Krishna. And yeah, that anxiety starts to diminish. We don't struggle so much. Well, we can kick and scream if we want, but it doesn't have to go that way. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. May you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Lila Devidasi. Thank you. Thanks everyone on this call. We love you. We need you. You are our foundation, like Lila Devidasi says. Thank you so much for being wonderful devotees of Krishna. Thank you.